when did you first go to sea?
I started going to sea in 1947.
How old were you then?
16.
16. And what was your first ship?
It was Adelaide company ship called the Aruna.
The Aruna. What type was she, mate?
Well, she was actually a ship that was built in the First World War, and she was called a War Typhoon originally.
Oh, yeah.
And the Adelaide company bought her and her sister ship called the Ilunga, which was named the Ilunga.
Yeah.
They're on the coast. She was just an ordinary sort of 3-island type coal-fired ship.
Yeah.
She was built in Sunderland and the First World War, and she didn't have any twin decks forward. She had the usual 2 hatches forward of the bridge, then number 3 hatch, which was also the bunkers on the after part of number 3 hatch. She had twin decks there, and then just ordinary 4 and 5 ordinary holes.
And she was a coal burner?
She was a coal burner, yeah.
Coal burner, yeah, right. And what sort of cargo did it carry?
Well, I joined in Newcastle. She was like Bryn Adelaide company ship. They had a lot of their ships. They were on the sugar run from Queensland, and I joined her in Newcastle, and she went down to Melbourne, and we discharged in Melbourne, and then we had a blue on board because we were supposed to go to Stenhouse Bay, but we were short. I'm not sure whether it was 2 firemen or 1 fireman. And so they couldn't get any firemen, so they wouldn't take her to sea.
Yeah, right.
So the crew got logged. First day they got logged a day's pay. Then they asked them to take her to sea the next day. They got logged 2 days' pay. Asked them to take her to sea again on the 3rd day, and they got logged 3 days' pay, and they were sacked. So then the ship got stuck up there. But as was the policy in that time, the deck boys weren't in the strike.
Yeah.
So the other deck boy was there. He paid off after about a week, but I was left there. She stayed in Melbourne for 6 weeks before the dispute was settled.
Oh, yeah. Now, that stage of the game, were the deck boys in the Seaman Union?
Yeah.
They were, because just before it, I think they didn't have to be part of the union, did they?
At that time, they were part of the union.
Yeah, right. Yeah. And how many, what size ship was it, and how many was in the crew on that?
Well, she carried a bosun, no carpenter. I think it was 7 ABs and an ordinary seaman.
And what about all
firemen? I think it was 3 firemen and a trimmer per watch.
Yeah.
2 greasers and 1 donkeyman.
Oh, yeah. So all up in the crew, counting the mates and engineers.
And then two cooks, 3 stewards, 3 mates, the master, 3 mates, and the chief engineer and 3 engineers, which was 2nd, 3rd and 4th.
Oh, yeah, yeah. Right.
And a radio officer.
Yeah.
But he only was on it when the ship was sailing. He didn't work in the port.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So what made you go to sea?
Well, I grew up in Newcastle, and in those days, people used to wander around the wharf in Newcastle and look at ships.
Not another Carrington boy.
Hmm?
Not another Carrington boy.
No, I was from Cooks Hill.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
And where I lived in Cooks Hill was just, if you know Newcastle, just opposite the sports ground in Union Street.
Yeah.
And when you went across to get the tram in those days, you could look down to Lee Wharf and you'd see funnels and masts and other ships.
Yeah.
And during the war, the Law Hill came to Newcastle, and that started getting me interested in sailing ships.
Yeah.
But at that time, Newcastle didn't have a public library. They had a thing called Mechanics Institute or something like that.
Oh, yeah.
And they had a library, and I found some books in there and about that. But I used to everyone used to walk on the waterfront, you know, on Saturdays and Sundays afternoon, look at ships. And Newcastle in those days was a fairly interesting place.
Yeah.
Up in the top end where the pilot station is, what was called King's Wharf then, the smaller ships would come to load logs for New Zealand. Then further west of that was the old Hunter River Company wharves. Then there wasn't much, and then you had Lee Wharf.
Yeah.
Then a bit further up there was an oil wharf. Then Then of course across the road you had the wheat silos, and then what was called the basin, and then further up after the state dockyard was there then,
Yeah.
and then further up along Carrington till you come up to the BHP.
And then they had that pub right outside the oil wharf gate. What was that name? Yeah. As you walked out the gate of the oil wharf, there was that pub right opposite.
Yeah,
Yeah.
It was actually two pubs opposite.
Yeah. Yeah, there's none there now.
None.
None. Yeah. And in those days, back on your first job and that, what were your conditions in that like on there? What hours did you work in that?
You only worked 8 hours a day.
Yeah.
Well, you turned to at 7, and breakfast was 8 to 9. Then you had smoke over at 10 o'clock, and lunch was 12 to 1, and then you had smoke again in the afternoon at 3 o'clock, and they would knock off about 4:45 or something like that.
Oh, yeah.
Some ships you heard of, they used to knock off at 4:30 and things like that.
Yeah.
Some even didn't take afternoon smoker. They worked for afternoon smoker and knocked off earlier still.
Oh, yeah.
But on that ship, we used to work till about 4:45.
Yeah, right.
So everything was cleared up by 5.
And what sort of leave and that did you get in them days?
Oof, that I can't recall. I think it was still 2 weeks holidays a year.
Yeah.
And you got a Sunday at sea, and at that time you worked till 12 o'clock on Saturdays. But that was some business, I'm not quite sure how that worked out then. But the wages then was £8 a month. It was, at that time, it was £6, the wages were £6 a month,
Yeah.
and you had £2 war risk. There was still a war risk on.
Yeah.
And if the ship went north of Townsville, you got extra because it wasn't clear of mines in those days.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think
Gained your money.
I think we got about £9.10 when we're north of Townsville.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, right. And your duties in that, as a deck boy on that on there?
Well, at that time, they'd got crew attendants, which were called Peggies.
Yeah.
So the deck boys didn't have to do any cleaning up the mess room or anything like that. And everyone cleaned their own cabin, and you washed your own dishes, and that. But so we were 2 deck boys, and so one deck boy was a sort of dog's body for the bosun.
Yeah.
And the other deck boy was a dog's body for the storekeeper. You cleaned all the paintbrushes and things like that, and you went with the bosun and that. But one of our biggest jobs was cleaning the winches, because they were steam winches and full of grease and muck, and that was a continual job.
Yeah.
And also the deck boys, if you were in the after gang, you drove the mooring winch.
Yeah. Mate, it didn't change over the years, because I went to sea in 66 and deck boy was one of my jobs, under the winches.
Yeah.
And cleaning, driving the after winch.
Yeah.
Which in the middle of winter, the ABs would want to throw you off because the steam and that keep you warm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, well, and then also in port, before the wharfies turned to, we'd have to go and turn the winches on and open the steam cocks.
Yeah,
so that they were ready to go when the wharfies came on board.
Yeah. Yeah. Over the years and that, how did your duties and that change as you went bucko, AB?
Well, I was I wanted to learn just to be a seaman, and the first night we were at sea coming out of Melbourne, I went up on the wheel, and as I showed them, I used to spend a lot of time on the wheel. Then on one occasion I met some other deck boys, and they said, "How much do you make?" I said, "I don't make anything." "Oh," they said, "you should charge the ABs. If they want you to give them a relief on Sunday, you should charge them, or if they're playing cards and they win, you should get a commission." I thought that was a bit sort of mercenary, because I just wanted to learn.
Yeah.
So I didn't bother about that part. And I generally found that if you wanted to learn, people were willing to show you.
Yeah.
And some deck boys didn't seem to want to learn anything, But then I thought, well, if you don't learn, how are you going to be an ordinary seaman? How are you going to know what to do?
Yeah.
So maybe I asked too many questions, but that's what I did.
Yeah, yeah. And as you you did your time on the case and that, and came through as ordinary seaman and that, and AB. Did you do that on the Casey, or was that when you went overseas?
No, I got IB's time in when I was overseas, but I did my deck boys time on the Aruna,
Yeah.
my ship, and I had wanted to go on sailing ships, and I'd found out after Loyal had been there, I'd found out all about Ericsson and how his things worked,
Yeah.
and I'd written to him before I went to sea, you see, and I got a letter back from him, and they had a sort of pro forma thing about apprentices and that, you see.
Yeah.
So I wrote back and said, no, my people aren't interested. They didn't want me to go on a sailing ship anyway,
Yeah.
because they grew up in Newcastle and they knew too many stories about sailing ships and
Yeah.
what used to happen on them in Newcastle. But anyway, so I sent back that the apprentice bit was out, but I'd still like to go on sailing ships. And he was good enough, and he wrote back and said, well, he hoped to get his ship sailing again, and if they came to Australia, for me to make my way to one of his ships, and I would probably get a job.
Yeah.
Well, anyway, towards the end of my deck boys time on the Aruna, I got a letter from him again saying that the Viking was going to be in Australia in such a time, which was round about then. So we were in Melbourne. I asked the old man to pay me off, and he said, are they going to give you repatriation on that ship? And I said, no. He said, well, I won't pay you off,
Yeah.
because if you're under 18, the old man was your legal guardian.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I had to give that away. So anyway, got my time in, I went to Newcastle, and I joined the Iron Duke as bucko. And I'd given some ships up, it's not going to happen, you know. So on one of the ships we were making up the Gulf, we saw a Viking sailing out. So I went up on the bridge, we were working overtime, and I went up on the bridge and asked the old man if I could look through the binoculars at her, you know. He said, okay. He said, but you wouldn't be, I think I was getting 7 and 6 an hour overtime then.
Yeah.
He said, you wouldn't be getting 7 and 6 an hour there. I said, no, but I'll be doing some more seaman-like work than what I'm doing now, you know.
Yeah.
So anyway, we came back to Newcastle, and the Passat had come to Port Victoria, and she got there just a bit before the Viking left, you see. So I thought, well, I'll get down to her and see if I can get a job. So I thought, well, the best way to do it is get on a black and tan. There was English ships chartered on the coast at the time,
Yeah.
and they went under the name of black and tans,
Yeah.
because they took coal down to Adelaide and ore back to Newcastle.
From Wyala.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they didn't pay Australian wages, but there was something a bit more than British wages.
Oh yeah.
And you could pay off anywhere on the Australian coast with 48 hours notice. So I said, okay, that'll be a good way to get to Adelaide, and
Yeah.
I'll take the bus down to Port Victoria. So I got on a job as bucko on a thing called the Fort Beausejour. She was commonly known around as the Boozy Joe, and that was a bit of an eye-opener. She was, I'd never seen a ship with such a drunk crew. We left Newcastle about 11 o'clock at night. She had Somali firemen. They came down with their lady friends from the local cat house. And I didn't know about those things really at the time, but you learn. The second mate, Mister, the second engineer, Mister, all the ABs was as blind drunk as you could get. I don't know how they ever got the hatches on.
Yeah.
And the tarps were just on roughly, you know. There was coal all over the decks. And the mate came down and said, can you steer, sonny? I said, yeah. He said, all right. He says, you're a mud pilot. And so I was. And I went to the wheel at 11 o'clock, and I didn't come off the wheel till 4 o'clock in the morning. Because by that time they reckoned that the crew was sober enough.
Yeah.
We should have been nearly to Sydney by that time. But when we were going out and we dropped the pilot, they put her full ahead. They couldn't get her full ahead. And she just wouldn't go. We made about it took us 16 hours to get to Sydney. So we went up and we tied up on the Dolphins, you know, up in Snails Bay.
Yeah.
I thought, well, this plan is not working out. So I found out how much aeroplane ticket cost, and well, I think I was on board the ship for 10 days. So I had enough for an aeroplane ticket, so I paid off and took the plane to Adelaide. The first time I went in a plane, it was an old DC-3.
Oh, yeah.
I went from Sydney to place in the middle of New South Wales, Wagga.
Oh,
Sydney to Wagga and then Wagga to Adelaide.
yeah.
And I knew a Norwegian guy in Adelaide, and I stayed at his place. It was on a Saturday. I stayed at his place on Saturday night, and he took me to the bus stop to get the bus to Port Victoria. So I got the bus to Port Victoria, and I stayed in the hotel there that night, and asked them there was a boat going out about 7 o'clock in the morning to the ship. But they'd had a big storm in Adelaide, and Port Victoria as well, and there was one of the ketches that sunk alongside the wharf, called the Hawk, and the boat was just taking some stores out. They weren't going to work the ship that day. There was still too much water, so I got on board and went up to the old man. And I said I'd had correspondence with Gustav Eriksson and that, and perhaps I can have a job. He said yes, he had heard of me, but he had no jobs. But if I liked, I could stay on board, and if I worked, I could have a job. So I did. So one stage I got my leg crushed by a lifeboat. Before the Viking had left, one of the crew, or a couple of the crew had skinned out. They'd pinched the lifeboat and taken it ashore and went their way. And in that storm that was, the lifeboat got half battered in as well. So we would take it back to our ship, and they were going to repair it on the way. And we had rollers, and we rolled it down to the water, and my foot slipped in the shingle,
Yeah.
and I got the lifeboat on top of my leg. So one of the guys he lifted the hole up, and they dragged me out from under the roller. So I hobbled around. It wasn't broken, and so I didn't go to the doctor or anything, because I wasn't even signed on then, you see. So I managed to hobble around on it okay. Then one day we were painting and during that time two of the crew had skinned out, and another guy had paid off, so I knew there was going to be some jobs. So I worked as good as I could. Anyway, one day we were over the stern painting, we just on the sort of the break of the poop. We sort of really had a bowsing in line on the stage, and the other fellow went to breakfast a bit early and left me to finish off the painting, and she took a nice long roll, and I went into the drink. When I come up, I still got the paintbrush in my hand. It was a new paintbrush I'd just been given that morning. So I swam along to the gangway and clattered up on the gangway. We used to have a big sort of 12x2 Oregon down on the gangway for when the motorboat came in, so I didn't get caught under the bottom of it. Climbed up there, and the second mate was coming along to knock us off for breakfast. He said, "Oh, you're having an early breakfast and I swim." I said, "Oh, no, but I still got the paintbrush, see?" "All right, so go and have breakfast." So after breakfast, he comes on and says, "Oh, the old man wants to see you." I said, "Oh, I'm going to get a bollocking for the fall then." And he says, "You like swimming?" I said, "Oh, yeah." He said, "But it's best not to swim." And he said, "You didn't lose the paintbrush?" I said, "No." He said, "All right, you can sign on now then." But then I had to go to Adelaide, because I didn't have a passport, and get a British Seaman's identity card.
Oh.
And you were supposed to have repatriation, but I knew the deal was, so I had to take the papers back, and all the Australians on board it, we signed it, but then go to the old man. That was the agreement.
Null and void once you got to sea.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's how I got on the Passat.
Yeah. So, what from the Australian ship you were on to the Passat? How did your duties and that change there?
Well, the duties changed. That on there you were there wasn't such a difference in bad jobs. Like the younger ones had to do like a Peggy but things I'll come around to that at sea. But one thing I should tell you about when I was on the Aruna, the first time I was there in Melbourne, they shifted the ship by hand along the wharf because the thugs wouldn't touch us. She was black.
Yeah.
So, and the Fiona of the CSR ship was coming in with sugar, and we're in the road. So they sent all the blokes from the office, from the Adelaide Company office and from the CSR office on board. Adelaide Company, they had their own line boat, which wasn't in the Seaman Union. They took one line and just started pulling, and they run the stern line down, and then just put a handy billy on it with luff on luff, and they pulled the ship along the wharf by hand. And I didn't have to take any part in that. My mate said, you just stand there and you might learn something. Which I saw how to shift the ship by hand.
Yeah.
Which I thought that was quite a feat.
How far did they have to shift it?
Huh?
How far did they shift it?
A ship's length.
A ship's length.
And a bit.
Yeah.
And a bit, like, you know, to get the Fiona, because the Fiona was about the same size, the same length as we were.
Yeah.
But she has to have a bit either end, you know, which was quite a good thing. And to stop her from blowing off the wharf, to hold her alongside as well. Yeah. Because we were light ship, you know, so that was I thought that was quite a feat. And that was when I met John Quinn first.
Oh yeah.
He was ordinary seaman on the Fiona.
Yeah.
And I went aboard there to have a look at her because she was different. She had wooden decks. The Fiona, we had just steel decks everywhere, you know.
Yeah.
And they lived in the Fiona. They lived forward.
And you lived aft in the...
We lived aft. Like,
yeah.
It wasn't much the same. Like we were 4 in a cabin.
Yeah.
On the Aruna. But we got blankets and like sheets and blankets and stuff like that.
Yeah.
They hadn't got curtains or that just then on the coast.
Yeah.
They came a bit later.
So what was the mattresses like in that? Were they donkey's breakfast or was this?
A sort of donkey breakfast. Sort of a bit better kind of donkey's breakfast.
Yeah.
They were quite sleepable, but on the Passat they weren't as good a quality. And we didn't get sheets or anything like that. You had to buy your own blankets on Passat.
Yeah. And buy your own sheets or?
Yeah, we didn't use sheets.
No, just blankets.
We just used a blanket for a sheet.
Yeah.
And 2 blankets. That's
right. Yeah. And the accommodation on the Passat net, what was it like compared to the Australian ship?
Well, it was from a different world.
Yeah.
But for sailing ships, it was, I suppose, if you think of it, it was about the best kind of accommodation that I had on sailing ships at that time.
Oh, yeah.
The forecastle was quite big. Like there was, the forecastle was for 10 men in each forecastle, like port and starboard watch.
Yeah.
10 men. There was on the outside of the ship there was 3 lots of bunks. On the inside there was 1 lot of bunks. Then there was a locker for plates and stuff. Then another 2 locks. You had a sort of hanging locker for your good gear at one end of the forecastle, and at the other end you had a big chest of drawers with a drawer for every person, and then there was just one big table with fast benches on either side.
Yeah, yeah.
And for sailing ships that was quite good and roomy.
Pretty good, yeah.
And the bathroom on her was up forward. It had five places in the bathroom, but it had non-slip tiles on the deck.
On the deck, yeah.
And when you consider that ship was built in 1911,
yeah,
they must for that stage when they came out, those ships, they must have been really good for that time, you know, because the bathroom on the Aruna was cement.
Yeah, right. Yeah, that was an Aussie ship. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, this is one thing I never asked John, but what were the toilets and that like on there? The toilets and that on there?
There was 2 toilets. Originally they had a flushing system, but that didn't work, and I don't know when it had worked, and you just got a bucket and threw a bucket down there.
Yeah. Straight over the side.
Huh?
Straight over the
Oh,
side.
yeah. Like, and it was a toilet to sit on.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
it just went straight down.
Did it have the old non-return valve on it, so you didn't have any worry about getting a cleaning out?
Sometimes I think the non-return valve had came off at some stage or other.
Yeah. So
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 you
some-
had to watch out that you've got a douche.
Yeah.
Sometimes.
you got a rude awakening and
Yeah.
everything, yeah. And the difference between the Aussie ship and that you're on and the Passat and that, was there any in your like work hours and that?
In port, there wasn't so much difference. They only worked officially. They only worked 8 hours in port, but they worked till 3 o'clock on Saturdays. But you didn't have any smoko in the morning. You turned to at 7. They had breakfast. They only had half an hour for breakfast, 8:30 to 9, and then there was no smoko. Then lunch was 12 to 1.
Yeah.
It was an hour, you had an hour for lunch. And then, strange enough, they had a coffee time at 3 o'clock, where they used to make coffee bread quite often.
Oh yeah.
But you worked right up to 5 o'clock.
Yeah, right.
And if you happened to be needed to work after 6 o'clock in the morning, you got overtime in port. It didn't happen very often, but sometimes it did.
Yeah. What about at sea?
At sea, it was completely different.
Yeah.
At sea, like you've heard of the British system, they had 4 on and 4 off, and 2 dog watches in the afternoon.
Yeah.
Like they had what some people call it Norwegian watches, some people call it Swedish watches, some people call it Scandinavian watches. But the system was, it worked out, you worked 14 hours one day and 10 hours the next. But how that worked, so the 12 to 4 at night was normal, 12 to 4.
Yeah.
4 to 8 was normal. Then you worked from 8 till 1. And then from 1 till 7, and then 7 to 12. That I found to be a good system, because at one stage they tried, some of the British operators, they said that wasn't traditional, they wanted to try with the dog watches.
Oh yeah.
So the old man said, all right, we'll try the dog watches for a week. He said, but by the end of the week you'll wish that you had never asked me.
Yeah.
So, because the benefit I found with that 1410 business was, all right, you got one watch of a 5, one of a 6, and one of a 5. Now, when you're out for 3 whistles, which means it's all hands, you have got a bit of a chance of getting 2 hours sleep or something like that. Whereas if you had been on the 4, just the 4 hours on, 4 hours off, you've got hardly any time to get anything. And if you're out in your dog watch, well, forget it. That you know, you didn't do it. And so that works quite well.
Oh, right. Yeah.
And you worked but if there's 3 whistles, that's all hands, where they come out like some days or that. But at sea on Saturday was still only the watch that had the 1 till 7. They only worked till 3 o'clock on the Saturday, like with ship's duties.
Yeah.
Like they still had to steer and keep lookout and things like that, But after 3, you didn't work.
Yeah, right. Yeah. And on the with the food and that was on the Aussie ships, what was that like?
Well, I found it to be good. You know, always had 2 choices.
Yeah.
But on the Passat, you had 1 choice.
Fish and more fish.
No, not that. There was. I think they tried, but see, you might speak to some other people who were on Passat at the same time as I was.
Yeah.
Because when the Passat had left Finland, just after the war, stores were pretty non-existent in Finland. They had been hit very hard by the war, and there wasn't much stores to get, you know. But when the ship was in Australia and we took stores, well, they took too much because the steward mixed up his pounds with kilos, so we ended up getting much more stores than we needed. In actual fact, we had enough to come back to Australia, and the next time we only loaded a small amount of stores. We still had enough stores from the trip before.
Yeah.
And so the food from Australia onwards, when I joined it, was much better than they'd ever had on board the Passat previously.
Oh, yeah.
And like we had 6 pigs, start off with 4 sheep, but they killed them quite soon in the trip.
Yeah.
And the 6 pigs, they lasted pretty well most of the trip.
Yeah. So there was no refrigeration on the Passat, was there?
No refrigeration.
Yeah, so it was just kill as you went along.
Or salt meat or tin meat.
Yeah.
And dried meat.
What about, how did you go for fresh water?
Fresh water, we were rushing for washing 1/4 of a bucket a day, but we had a big tank on the forecastle head, and that ration for the amount of crew was put into that tank.
Yeah.
And you were on an honour system. So most people didn't sort of wash very much during the week. You might wash if it was good weather, or if you thought it wasn't going to be too bad. You might wash on Saturday or Sunday, depending what you had. You know.
Yeah.
You had enough. And for drinking, we had a little, say, a 5-gallon demijohn in the entrance to each forecastle for drinking water.
Oh, yeah.
And then we got, when they made coffee, we got coffee or tea.
Yeah.
So in that respect, considering what it wasn't too bad. And but I suppose, not saying too bad, some people wouldn't like it, but if you go on those kind of ships, most of the people there went on willingly.
Yeah.
So sort of privations, well, okay, that's part of the ship. You have to accept it as it is.
Yeah. Yeah. And did you, like, if there was, say, a rainstorm coming, did you head for that to top up the fresh water, or was that just...
Well, in the tropics we used to save water, and then we'd put it in the tank, another tank.
Yeah.
And you could use as much of that as you wanted.
Oh, yeah.
There was no, on the water you saved, there was no restrictions on that.
Yeah.
And if there was that much, we'd top up the main tanks as well with it.
Yeah. With the Passat and that, it being a sailing ship and that, how many sails in that did she carry?
Altogether, let's see, she had, if you like to count them, she had 4 headsails, like 4.5, like staysail in the job out of jib, flying jib. The 3 masts with the square sails had 6 sails on each. Between the main and the mizzen, we only had 1 staysail, one main staysail, 1 mizzen staysail.
Yeah.
On the jigger, we had 2 staysails, and she had an upper and lower spanker and a spanker tops, gaff topsail.
Yeah, right. And how high were the masts?
Roughly 180 feet from the deck.
Because I tell you what, these days you'd never be able to get 6 foot off the deck without having all sorts of bloody safety gear on.
Oh well, the only safety you had there was your 2 hands.
Yeah, yeah. And the first time you ever went aloft up that high, how'd you feel?
A bit queasy.
Yeah.
But now you've probably heard of this. Well, I call it a furphy of this. 1 hand for yourself and 1 hand for the ship.
Yeah.
That doesn't work.
Both hands to yourself.
Both hands for the ship, and
the ship,
and the ship looks after you.
Yeah, yeah.
Because you can't hang on with 1 hand and do any work that's worth calling work with 1 hand. It just doesn't work.
Yeah. And in bad weather, I know what it was like trying to pull a tarp on an ordinary hatch and that on the iron boat I was on. But how would you be with the sails and that when they were wet and cold? And
the way it is, like on each sail, you've got what takes the sails up to the yard. You have what are called buntlines and clewlines. The clewlines are at the extreme ends of the sails. They take it straight up like that.
Yeah.
The buntlines are in the 2 on either side of the tops, except for the foresail. They bring it up to the yard. See? Then when you're doing that, you get what the bolt rope, that's the bottom part of the sail.
Yeah.
Tuck that under your belly, and then you get the other sail and bring it on top, and then you sort of roll over and push it all down, and then pull it up.
Yeah.
But sometimes it's blowing quite a bit.
Yeah.
But you see, the sails are always sort of billing in front of you, and when you go aloft, you always go up on the weather side.
Yeah.
So if the ship is leaning over a little bit, you're always going up like that.
Yeah.
Even when you go over to footing shrouds, you're still, when she's leaning over it, you're still more or less, you're not going outwards too much, you're nearly going straight up then. And then same angles again.
Yeah. Now at the funeral or at this afternoon, when Ralph McDonnell was reading that part from Tor's book, did you ever come across that where when Tor, I think if I remember rightly, was he yelled out to someone, "Have a look at this," and scooped a handful of seawater when he was out on the end of the yard?
No, I don't think I've ever been over as far as that.
Yeah. Yeah, it would have been a little bit scary, right?
That would have been a bit scary. But sometimes, if I wouldn't like to be on the lee side when it's out there like that, because if you were that far off and the yard did happen to dip in the water, you'd just get washed off, and that's the end of you.
Yeah. Did you have any bad experiences, like with bad weather and that on the Passat while you were there?
Well, the first trip, those ships, like once you leave Australia and get down into the 40s, you're in sort of bad weather pretty well continuously.
Yeah.
The first trip I was there, we carried away the lifeboat that I mentioned previously. That got washed over the side. The steering gear carried away. Like she didn't steer from aft, she steered from midships.
Oh yeah.
She had a big double wheel midships.
Yeah.
And she steered from midships, and one of the wires carried away, and she was just starting to come back, and the second mate got she had an emergency wheel on the poop.
Yeah.
And the second mate got that into gear and got her over just before she came back. Because if she'd come back, we might have lost a whole lot.
Yeah, yeah. Now, how many times did you go around the Horn on the Passat?
Twice.
In how many years were you there on it?
I was on there for just over 18 months.
Oh, yeah. And you also sailed with a couple of other Aussies on there too.
Yeah. Like, the first trip I was there, I was in the starboard watch, like with Max Wood. We had one fellow called, there was only 2 other Australians in that watch. The rest, we had an Englishman. There was one fellow we called Old Bill. He'd been on the Viking with the old man before the war. We called him Old Bill. He might have been about 40 something.
Oh, an old bugger.
For us, he was old then.
Yeah.
And then another guy who'd been in the army, Bob Rimmer, and we were the 3 Australians in the starboard watch. The rest, there was one Finn, some English, a couple of English, 3 Englishmen, 4 Englishmen and 1 South African in the starboard watch, and there was more Australians in the port watch that time.
Yeah. Now, how many all up were in the crew on the Passat?
29.
And she was how big?
I think her deadweight tonnage is about 3,160, something like that.
Oh yeah.
She carried, the last trip we had 54,000 bags of wheat, and that's at the time when wheat weighed 180 pounds a bag.
Yeah. There's a bit of dead weight in there, yeah.
There's a bit of dead weight there.
Is that right? Now, so I thought someone told me that some of them sailing ships of a reasonable size had down a crew as low as 14, 15?
You could, but it would have been very hard.
Yeah.
That would have been, both watches would have been out nearly all the time, you know,
Yeah.
because we were out quite a bit. And so we should, like, the ship was built to have 10 men in each watch.
Yeah.
But we only ever had 9 men in each watch.
Oh yeah. In your time you spent on the Passat and that, did you have any times when you wished, Christ, you weren't there, you were somewhere else?
No, I didn't. I wanted to go there, and I was happy to be there.
Right. And is that the only sailing ship you're on?
Only purely sailing ship, like the commercial one I worked on. Later on, I was on a little sealer in Norway. We went up in the ice, but they carried sails.
Oh yeah, yeah.
So they were compelled to carry sails. because they were smaller ones, and frequently they used to lose their propeller in the ice.
Yeah, right. So she was,
So they had a sail so they could get back.
Yeah, yeah. And what, you're 18 months away on her, and then you came back on the Australian coast then, did you?
No. I ended up paying off in England. I started sailing on English ships for a while. And I come back onto the Australian coast in 52.
Oh, yeah. With the being on the Aussie coast to start off with, and then in the sailing ship, and then on the Poms, was there a big difference between the three different mobs to sail?
Well, so I sailed out of Cardiff, and like at that time they had a pool, what they called a pool, and some of the better companies you got all the rough jobs out of Cardiff.
Yeah.
They weren't, none of them were very very good companies.
Yeah.
And they left much to be desired, and also the Scandinavians I got on better with than I did with the English people, English mates and that. Yeah. They were still mates.
Yeah.
But they were sort of fairer.
Yeah.
Like, they were just.
You could talk to them.
They would talk to you.
Yeah.
There wasn't that sort of.
Yeah.
Nose in the air kind of.
Look down their nose at you. Yeah. And the wages on the three different country ships.
Well, at that stage, the wages on the Passat weren't very much. They were quite low, really.
Yeah.
But everyone who was there because they wanted to be there.
Yeah.
I suppose that's what kept those ships going. But the wages were what was the lawful Finnish wage.
Oh yeah, right, yeah.
They didn't say, oh no. They paid you what the law said.
Yeah, yeah. Because I've heard before, Gus of Ericsson was a pretty fair bloke, wasn't he?
Well, some people reckon he was fair. I found I got treated fairly. Some people reckon he was a bit of a bastard and very
But he was a ship owner.
But he was a ship owner, and he did it all himself.
Yeah.
And everyone got their own peculiarities.
Yeah.
But I mean, he kept going and did things when other people couldn't do it.
Yeah.
But I think that was the nature of the time, and possibly because he was the one who kept the sailing ships going longer than the other people who had started their ship owner things in the same manner, but they went into steam much earlier than he did.
Yeah. And was it the Palmyra, the one that got lost?
That was a Palmyra,
Yeah.
But that was a thing that should never have happened.
Yeah. It was full of trainees or something, wasn't it?
It was full of trainees, and I think the mates didn't know what they were doing. Yeah. And you see, she was carrying loose barley of all things, barley is much more fluid than wheat is. Yeah. And she had loaded during the strike in the Argentina, and the army had, and like at that time, you possibly know that at one stage ships carrying loose grain, if they weren't specifically bulk vessels, they had to have shifting boards.
Shifting boards, yeah.
Then somewhere along the line they decided the ships didn't have to have shifting boards. They were safe if they just put a couple of 100 tons of bags in there, and that would keep it. But sailing vessels over on an angle all the time, that doesn't work that way. No. Yeah. And also, the way we battened the hatches down on the Passat was quite extensive. And also, we even used to put boards up like those ships didn't have any bulkheads. They had some sort of half round bulkheads which was for strength. Yeah. Not to keep water out or anything, but that was for strength. And also in the square of the hatch there was sort of stanchions in the square of the hatch. Yeah. And we put shifting boards on them, and also on any metal parts we used to put old sails on to stop condensation, because condensation can cause the bags to rot. Yeah. We used to do that. And then when we were battening down the hatches, well, she had her beams, like the hatch came in for about that high. Yeah. And the beams were the full depth of the coaming. Yeah. And she had 4.5 shifts the beams as well. Yeah. And the hatch boards were about as big as your thing there, and about that thick.
Yeah.
When they were put on, then an old sail was put over the top for condensation again, and then oakum was driven between all the hatch boards.
Oh yeah.
Then each tarp that went on, when it came into around the cleats, it was sewn around the cleats, and the corners were sewn together.
Yeah.
And so there was the 3 tarps, and the corners were sewn. When you put your wedges in, they came from forward and from aft, and in the cleat there was a hole, and you drove a 6-inch nail into that and bows that down.
Right. Yeah.
So the wedges aren't going to get washed out.
Yeah.
And then on top of your hatches again, you had some 12B2 Oregons, the full length of the hatch on top, and then some big double timber beams across that, which were bows down with bottle screws.
Yeah.
So, you know, it'd take you 2 or 3 days to batten one hatch
I was going to say, so you didn't have a quick bloody square up.
It wasn't a quick square up.
Yeah.
See, and when the Germans started running those ships again as training ships, they just had 1 or 2 ordinary hatches, ordinary tarps on, no sewn ends, no double wedges, and so that was a...
So they were a disaster just waiting to happen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And also carrying loose grain, I think, was the biggest. I think if they had older masters or mates, they would have refused to take loose grain.
Yeah.
It was just too stupid. And the thing was that when the Germans started sailing, getting them up, when they brought them back off Ericsson's and started running them, the German company that had most experience was Ferdinand Leys, who had done those ships before. And, none of he wouldn't take any part in the way they were run.
Yeah, right.
They didn't know what they were doing.
Yeah.
And his words unfortunately proved to be true.
Yeah. No, that was in 54 when the Palmy went down, or around
57.
57 was it?
Yeah.
The Passat didn't last much longer after that either, did she?
Well, she got into the same weather.
Yeah.
There were a few days after.
Yeah.
But they had, when they refitted them out again, they had put deep tanks into twin decks.
Oh yeah.
Or under the twin decks.
Yeah.
And that was our ballast. And so when the Passat got in the same weather, she flooded her ones that was on the weather side ones, was up to straighten her up, straighten her up, and she got into Lisbon before it burst, you see.
Yeah, right, yeah.
And they restowed the cargo and then they took her back to Germany.
Yeah.
And after that, because of the Palmeiras disaster, they wouldn't let her sail anymore.
Yeah, that was into the commercial sailing life.
Yeah.
She's a maritime museum now somewhere, isn't she?
Yeah, some sort of maritime museum in Travemünde, which is near Lübeck.
Yeah. Yeah, I got a funny feeling when we come out on the Helix, we went past her. You could see her as we came down around the way we came out. Between the 3 of them at the time, which one would you have preferred? Which country ship would you have preferred to stay
Well, I heard that the Viking was the quarters were better in the Viking.
Yeah.
But I liked the Passat. Though at one stage I was going to go on the Palmyra, like there was another fellow, you knew Alan Rogerson on the coast.
Yeah, I think I heard his name, yeah.
Yeah, well, he was on the Palmyra at the time, him and his brother.
Yeah.
And he wanted to come on to Passat, and so I said, okay, I'll see if we can do a swap. But either his old man or my old man, they wouldn't do the swap.
Do the swap, yeah.
But we helped when the Palmyra, because we got to Penarth before the Palmyra did, see. Because when you go up there, of course you don't have radio or anything like that, you go either to Falmouth or to Queenstown and Ireland for orders.
Yeah.
Well, the trip before, we'd spent a lot of time in getting up the English Channel to Falmouth. And so the old man said, no, this time I'm going into Queenstown. Yeah. When it got the same easterly winds. So we went there. We took 110 days and the to Queenstown, and the Palmy took 128 days to Falmouth.
Yeah.
And then we sailed across the Irish Sea up to Penarth, and that took us 7 days. But when the Palmy came in, she towed around all the way from Falmouth. When she came in, we went up on board her after a day or so and helped them send all the sails down.
Yeah.
But she didn't have folks, she had cabins.
Oh, yeah.
They had changed them around, but they must have been rather small cabins because they only had the same area that we had.
Yeah.
And so, and to make that into cabins and to have a mess room, I don't know how big the cabins were.
They were sister ships, weren't they? But one was smaller than the other?
Yeah, Palmyra was actually 6 foot shorter.
Yeah, but carried the same amount of sail?
No, not quite the same. Just there was not a lot, about 200 tons difference, something like that.
Yeah, but the same sail area she had, didn't she? Yeah.
The sail area was the same.
Yeah, right. And then after you come off the Passat and the Palmy ships, is that when you came back on the Australian coast?
Yeah, I had a bit of a funny time. I got a appendicitis in a place called Tripoli in Lebanon. Mm-hmm. And it was about, if I'd gone back on the ship I would have burst.
Yeah.
But I was ashore with a girl and I got sick. And after that my friend was there too, and we missed the first boat out to the ship in the morning.
Yeah.
So we had another guy off that ship who was in hospital. So we went and visited him, and while we were in hospital I started being sick again. So then the doctor came and poked me here and poked me there and says, "Righto, operate on you straight away."
Yeah, right. So you ended up in hospital?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so in those days they had a funny law that if you didn't like to fly, you didn't have to fly.
Oh, yeah.
So they wanted us to send us back to, send us down, because the ship went from there down to Aden.
Yeah.
So we didn't want to go down to Aden. So we said, no, we don't want to go. I said, okay. So we had a sort of good deal there. We got the equivalent of our pay each week from the agent.
Yeah.
And at that time, there was an oil company called the Iraq Petroleum Company, because they used to send the oil from Iraq over through Syria into Lebanon, and the tankers would load it there.
Oh, yeah.
And also as a place the Americans used to come on leave there from Iraq, like sort of local leave.
Yeah.
And so they made us members of the local club there, and we had a good time. And then every time we go down each week to the agent, he said, "Oh, we've got a ship in here." Well, he used to let us look at the crew list. So, shit, there's Rogers, I know him. They want to know, but okay, I'll have the job. Yeah. But the friend of mine who was there, he'd been there, we were there about a month after we come out of hospital. I was anyway. Yeah. And he was there for about another month. And so they were sending him down to Beirut to put him on the ship, to send him back to England. And they were sending him down by taxi. And the Lebanese drivers there, they only had one law. If you're the biggest one, you had the right of way.
That's a good law. Yeah.
So the taxi met a bus. Yeah. So the taxi went over the cliff. Yeah. The driver got killed, and my friend ended up in hospital for another 2 months.
You'd have run a bad luck.
Yeah. Yeah. And so then that ship I joined, I ended up getting paid off her in San Pedro. I got crook on her again. Then I ended up joining Sweden, come home on a ship called the Mirabuka.
Yeah, right. I've heard that name somewhere,
yeah.
I got slightly ahead of myself a while ago. I was going to ask you, what was it like aloft on the Passat in bad weather?
Well, that depends upon what you were doing.
Yeah. If you had to bring the sails and that in, or would you get them down in before the bad weather hit?
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, you start off taking the Royals in, or you might take the flying ship in. Yeah. And like, the Royals was a 2-man job. The Gallants was a 3-man job. The topsails were a watch job. Yeah. The courses, like the foresail or the mainsail or the crowjack, they could be a watch job or a 2-watch job.
No.
And sometimes in bad weather, the topsails could be a 2-watch job.
Yeah. But did you ever feel that when it was up there, it was a dangerous job? And I suppose it always was, But
yeah, well, I don't know. I suppose different people are different. You just don't think about that. You just get up
there and do it. And
do the job, and you just go at it mad and do it and get down as quick as you can.
Yeah, yeah. And in those days, there, what was did the employer on the 3 different? If you think to the 3 different country ships that the Poms and the Finns and that, what did the employer supply in the way of like any wet weather gear or anything like that, or
no.
soaps or
no.
You supplied everything.
You supplied your like the old man had a slop chest.
Yeah.
You buy your soap and that off him.
Yeah, right.
If you didn't have a supply of it yourself.
Yeah.
You could buy soap and toothpaste and stuff like that.
Oh yeah.
He might have some wet weather gear, but I knew I got it off the old man. I always got my own weather gear.
Now that was on the Passat, was it?
Yeah.
What about now on the Aussie ship? Would it be different? Where some of that was supplied, was it?
At that time when I was going to see Australian ships, there was no working gear or wet weather gear or anything like that supplied.
Yeah, right.
You had to have your own.
And the Poms were the same?
Poms were the same. At that time when I was at sea.
Yeah, right. What about safety gear? Non-existent?
Later on one Swedish ship I was on, in some places they insisted on you putting a lifeline on when you were over the side painting. If there was a strong current in the place or something like that, then they would insist that you put a lifeline on. But that was the only sort of safety gear. There was no hearing aid or anything like that. Or no gloves. You supplied your own gloves.
Yeah, right, yeah.
Or even when I was on the coast here, you supplied your own gloves. There wasn't supplied.
Yeah.
Like, say I left the coast in '54. There was no wet weather gear. There was no. If you wanted gloves, you supplied your own gloves then.
Yeah.
Even then.
Yeah. And what sort of different types of ships that you're on? What sort were they? Yeah.
Oh, I suppose I've been on every sort of type that you can imagine.
Yeah.
But see, when I started going to stopped going to sea, like say I was sailing on Norwegian and Williamson ships for a while, and at that time the Tino Onassis was one of the biggest ships in the world. That was 33,000 tons.
Oh, joy! Super ship.
Yeah, that was then. And at that time, the Yanks had a couple of funny looking things. They were about 50,000 tons.
Yeah.
But that's how sizes went then,
Yeah, yeah.
And say 12,000 tons for a cargo ship. That was a big cargo ship.
Yeah. In those days, you had cards and everything like that, or sat around.
We used to play cards a bit, and they used to play cards for cigarettes.
Yeah.
But I reckon that was wrong, because you could always go to the steward or to the old man on the Passat and get more.
Yeah.
So you're really working on a bank that you don't really own. You understand what I mean? And that. But we used to play cards. They had one funny game on Passat called Slack Any. I forget how you play it now, but I used to play it a bit, but not that much, because your watch time was either you used it for doing personal things or sleeping.
Yeah. So it was pretty easy to amuse yourself then. You either slept or you washed your clothes or something.
They were, in a way, they weren't so bad in some ways. Like, say, if your watch was on deck at night, you could stay in the forecastle as long as you came out when the mate blew 2 whistles.
Oh, yeah.
2 whistles was for the watch on deck.
Yeah.
So, because you had one man in reasonable weather, there was one man on the wheel, one man on the lookout, and one man standby.
Yeah.
But the standby man, he had to be out on deck, you see.
Yeah.
Adjacent to near where the wheel was, so he would hear the
whistle. The whistle, yeah.
For what he wanted, he might send him up aloft to overhaul the buntlines or something.
Yeah.
Because that's one job that never ended, was a job called overhauling the buntlines.
Yeah.
So you pull like on Passat we had wire buntlines, and with a whip on the end.
Oh.
A rope whip on the end. So if you didn't overhaul the buntlines, and the weight of it would go back, and that can chafe the sail.
Yeah.
They used to have a chafing patch where the buntlines were which we call a buntline cloth. But what you had to go up the mast and you pull up the slack, that slack your rope off, you pull up and get the slack over through the block there and get it out and down, so it was always a bight hanging at the foot of the sail. Then you stop it off with a piece of old rope yarn, you see. And that's always was a constant job in the morning, or sometimes if one would break at night, or if you'd been up aloft doing something or other and you see a buttman that was had come adrift, you'd always overhaul it. You always went around with a bundle of rope yarns in your belt.
And you'd have a knife on the other side. Nowadays, if you had a knife, they'd bloody want to neck you.
Won't they let you have a knife?
You can, but you hardly anyone carries a knife these days.
Well, there's not that much use for it, is it?
No. I mean, when I first went to sea, there was, but not now. There's not. No. In your time at sea, and that you would have come across a few characters. Any jump to mind?
Well, characters always depends how you think of them as characters. So blokes that you know and who do funny things and that. See, like when I was going to sea, everyone drank fairly heavily. You know? Some people could hold their drink better than others, and some places were worse than others for drinking. In Brazil, they had a stuff called cachaça, which is it's an offshoot of some sort of rum they make down there. The locals, when they drink it, they all wear something like a slouch, like a felt hat. They used to tip this cachaça in the crown of the hat, and when it soaked through, then they would drink it. But one ship I was on, we had a bloke, he sold every bit of clothes he had to get this cachaça. We'd throw the bottles away and he'd sell something else, and we ended up being in the hospital for 2 weeks. But he got the DTs and stuff like that.
Must be a strong old drop.
It was a strong old drop.
So there's no one really you stands out in your mind that was,
Oh, depending, like some, like, did you ever sail with Aussie ailing on the coast?
The name rings a bell, I'm not quite sure whether I did or not.
Yeah, he was, he used to sail out of Sydney, but he'd been on the Palmyra pretty well most of the war when the New Zealanders had her. And the last trip she did under the New Zealand flag, he was been bosun on, and he made him third mate. And when he was out, he used to sail with in Burns Silver a lot. Well, when they were around. He stands out, and then the Rogerson guy stands out, and because he was a very good. Apart from he was a good seaman. Apart from that, he had the best tattoo I've ever seen on anyone. Of the Palmyra on his chest. He got it done in
right.
And he was quite a character.
There's only a handful of years left now, isn't there?
Well, there's a few more if you think, like, I know, roughly out of Sydney, there's John Quinn, another guy lives up the Blue Mountains, and myself, and that's 3 who were in the same watch. The third mate, the last third mate we had, he's still alive, and he lives in Helsinki. And a few
Maxie Wood, he's still alive.
And Maxie Wood.
And who at 70 odd is going back to sea.
I don't know how that's going to work out.
In,
back to him.
In your time at sea, you would have had some good times, some bad times, some highs and lows. Any of them stick to mind?
No, I don't. It depends what you mean by highs and lows, but I was just really happy. Like when I was sailing on Scandinavian ships before I went and got my ticket and that, I used to ship out of Rotterdam a bit and Hamburg. For some reason or other, the Belgians would never let me ship out of Antwerp. I paid off a ship there once, and I never sailed on any Panama ships, but I was nearly sailing on a Panama ship out of Antwerp. At that time they wouldn't let me stay there. But the immigration police caught me and I got deported back to England.
Right. What in Don, you come across like any what we call hits and misses? You know, like we had any bad accidents with ships and that, or because in them days no radar, or most of them, you know.
No,
Yeah.
when as I might have been in 2 collisions.
Yeah.
That's right. One was a funny one. The ship we were going into a place called Norrköping in Sweden.
Yeah.
And you come up a sort of fjord and there's the mouth of a river, you see.
Yeah.
And we had fog all the way up, and we're coming up to go into the river. And I was on the forecastle head, and I heard a steam whistle. And I reported it to, like I the telephone, I said, "You got a steam whistle for a vessel at anchor." "No, you can't be right. That's just a whistle from a factory ashore."
Yeah.
I said, "I reckon it's a bit." "No, couldn't be. The only other ship that's gone up here was about an hour ago. Was a little Finnish motor ship that's gone up ahead of you."
Yeah.
Okay. The next minute, bang, crash. We went off a bum.
Yeah.
She was at anchor.
Right.
But her whistle was steam. She had steam winches.
Yeah.
And her whistle was steam. And the pilot we had didn't know that.
Right. Yeah.
But we just hit her a glancing blow.
Yeah. Yeah. And what was the other one?
Another one was in the North Sea. I was on a little ship run between Sweden, and we used to run between Sweden and Amsterdam. And we were coming up past it to Schelling, and we had fog again. And the old man said, "Okay, what's it look like on the radar?" I said, "Oh, just ships and ships and ships, you know."
Yeah.
I said, "Oh well, we'll go the other way and go round. We won't go up to the Kiel Canal, because that way you go up to Brunsbüttel, you see, up the old. So we'll go around Denmark that way." Which wasn't a good choice, because you couldn't really do a good plot on the radar, because it was just ships.
Yeah.
And we ran into one.
Whoops! Bang. Yeah.
No, not bad. No one got hurt.
Yeah.
Luckily, that ship didn't sink. We didn't sink.
Yeah.
We just pushed our bow in a bit. He could have. We had cut him just forward of the bridge.
Yeah.
And just buckled his bulwarks in a bit.
Oh, yeah.
And that. And but he got on okay.
Yeah, right. So in your time from the Australian coast to the Palmyra and the Passat, I mean, and the Pommy ships, and that, you went and done your ticket too, did you?
Oh well, after I sailed on Scandinavian ships quite a bit. The last once I went after the last Norwegian ship I had, I went fishing for a while.
Oh yeah.
Of one season. Like there's in the winter time. In Norway, there's a fish they called sei, which is this is kind of a cold fish. It looks something like a salmon.
Yeah.
And after the salmon is finished, then they get a big herring that comes in, which they call winter sealed. Like that means winter herring.
Yeah.
And there's a herring about that big. It comes in to spawn.
Yeah.
And so I went on a little ship there called Jarle, she was a drifter. And after that I went up in the ice sailing.
Yeah, right.
And when I come back from that, well, in the meantime I got myself engaged to the Swedish girl, and got a Swedish ship. We went up the lakes, and then I came back and I went to school and got my ticket.
So how high did you go? The dizzy heights?
The ticket I got was only a little ticket. It's called a North Sea ticket.
Oh yeah.
It was only good for the Baltic, Brest to the west coast of Ireland, to North Cape.
Oh yeah.
In that area, but that area is an awful lot of traffic.
It's an awful big area.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so that, like with that ticket, I went and revalidated it back in 1997.
Yeah.
And that was a funny little ticket, because they had a law in Sweden, or quite a few of those countries. If the ship was 499 gross tons, you could have, you only needed to have 2 watches.
Yeah.
But so they ended up calling them paragraph ships.
Yeah.
Because of the paragraph in the law.
Right.
See?
Yeah.
But what they did, see, because it was gross tons, an open shelter decker.
Yeah.
So, but this little 499 could carry up to 2,000 tons, because you'd get about 2 reels of paper in the lower hold,
Yeah.
and about 4 reels of paper high in the tween decks, you see.
Yeah.
But it was an open shelter decker, so that wasn't counted.
Yeah, right.
But that law has even, since then they've changed that law. It's not 499 tonnes anymore, it's 1,300 tonnes now.
Yeah.
So then you say, like, with that as that was originally, you could carry, you get up to 1,500 to 2,000, but now they get up to about 4,000 on those ones.
Yeah, on the same little ticket.
Yeah.
And what year was it you came back on the Australian coast?
Oh, when I came back to Australia, like I went away in '54.
Yeah.
And that's when I went on New Zealand for a while, and then I started sailing on all kinds of ships. I joined a Swede out of New Zealand. I skinned out of her in Rio. I got put on a Danish ship as cook's mate. That was the worst job I ever had at sea, because the Danes had a funny law in those days that the chief mate and the second engineer had to be served their coffee at 3:30.
Yeah.
The ABs weren't allowed to make it. The cook had to get up. I had to get up and make the coffee then, and the mess boy had to take it and serve it to them.
3:30 as in the AMs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is that's what it was.
Yeah.
And when I joined the ship, I said to mate, well, I'm an AB really. And I'd done some canvas work, and he was happy with what I was doing. And the guy missed the ship in BA.
Yeah.
And I said, oh, I'll be right for the AB's job now. And he said, no, the cook reckons he's going to leave because you're the best cook's mate he's ever had. I said, oh, I got used to you. I'm getting out of this thing when you get to Curacao.
Yeah.
So I ate about half a kilo of soft soup and got an instant ulcer.
And got out on combo.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's when I started sailing on Norwegian ships then.
Oh yeah. And then you come back to Australia after that, did you?
Oh no, after I got married, I stayed on Swedish ships for a while. I was young, like that one, the accident I had.
Yeah.
I sailed with a company. First of all, I started on a little some cement carriers.
Yeah.
They had a very good system of discharging. They had there. You didn't see any cement at all.
Yeah. So they were closed open and loading then.
Yeah.
Yeah, sure.
And like you load it just through a pipe.
Yeah.
And the first one I was on was the biggest one. She carried about 3,000 tonnes, something like that.
Yeah.
And it was divided up into sort of 4 like tanks.
Yeah.
She had a cofferdam in the centre, and they came on board in a pipe, and it just went down to a spiral, and down in the bottom of it, and each hole was sort of shaped like that.
Yeah.
And they had chains.
Oh,
the chains just run the cargo along.
Yeah.
And when you discharged it, that chain went the other way and took it to this organ and went up and out the pipe that way.
Yeah.
You didn't see any cement at all anywhere, no dust, nothing.
Yeah.
But I got bored with that, and I'd rather have general cargo ships. And so I sailed on one company that we were running the same run from Sweden to Amsterdam, and they lost that contract. They were chartered to a bigger Swedish company, and we started running across the North Sea, and I didn't like that. She wasn't such a well-run ship, so I left them and I joined a Swedish company, pretty much on the same run.
Yeah. And
then after a while, or in '67, or end of '66 actually, my wife's parents had died. I said, oh, well, I'd like to come back to Australia. There used to be a little a Norwegian company out here called Carlander.
Yeah, yeah.
And you could always get a job in those ships. So I wrote to them and asked for a job, and they said, oh, we haven't got a job at the moment, but we're...
Safi and the Cereba.
Huh?
Or two of them. Safi and the Cereba.
Yeah, they used to run up the Gulf.
Yeah.
But these are the other ones. They start off with little ships running up to New Guinea.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
And they put a couple of them under the New Guinea flag.
Yeah.
But it was coming out as Norwegian first. And so I got a job on one called a side oar.
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
she was about a little 3,000 tons. She had 2 hatches forward and a double hatch aft. And so I got my wife, my oldest son, and all our furniture on her. We came out to Australia.
Yeah, right.
We went from Norway, we went over to Immingham, we loaded steel for New Orleans. From New Orleans we went down to a place called Mackenzie in Guyana,
Yeah.
and then we loaded a special kind of bauxite for Newcastle, here.
Newcastle, New South.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and that's where my parents lived.
Yeah.
So I got everything out on that ship.
Yeah, right.
And I stayed on her for a little while, and I paid off when my second son got born. And then I was rigging for a mob EPT for a little while.
Yeah.
Then I went back to sea again on another one of their ships. It was under Norwegian flag called a Sletholm.
Yeah.
And then later on we changed it into New Guinea flag again. Then I left there in '69, went stevedoring.
Right. So you, how long were you on the Aussie coast for? In the Seaman's Union?
And the Seaman's Union,
Yeah.
47 and a bit of 48 and 52 to 54.
Oh, yeah, right. Yeah. And after you came back, you went stevedoring then for?
Yeah,
Oh, yeah. Whereabouts was that?
in Sydney.
And you stayed in Sydney the whole time?
Yeah, sometimes I'd go up to Brisbane or out to Fremantle and
Oh,
things
yeah,
like that.
right, yeah.
If they were short, and down Tasmania.
Yeah. And in your time in the Seaman's Union, that can you remember how it influenced the life of the blokes and that on board? What part the Seaman's Union played in that? Can you remember how you...
Well, they played a big role, but as you probably know, at that time they were rather politically influenced.
Yeah.
And I wasn't too wrapped in all this thing about peace and progress in Russia.
Yeah.
I used to stub my toe a bit.
Yeah. Yeah, right, yeah. Yeah, and with the welfare of seamen and that, how did you find they looked after seamen and that all right? If anything happened to them, you know?
Well, in Australia?
Yeah, with the seamen.
Well, at that time, like, nothing much sort of ever happened like I was compound that, but I mean, they looked after you, and sometimes they tried to look after you too much.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it was a thing I found with stevedoring companies, that the companies themselves didn't show much imagination.
Yeah.
And sometimes the Seaman's Union's position was at loggerheads
With the company, yeah.
with a company that wasn't using their nouns very much either.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, like, I think I'll point out is, they made a big thing when I was on Australian Coast about getting curtains.
Yeah.
Like porthole curtains and bunk curtains.
Yeah.
But the things they got, you might as well have had a bloody sugar bag.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, but there's, we got curtains. But if you had to buy the curtains, you would never bought them yourself.
No, that's right.
You know what I mean? And so you won something, but you didn't win it.
You didn't win, yeah.
You know, and the shipping companies adopted a stupid attitude, and the stevedores adopted a stupid attitude.
Yeah.
Like when I was a stevedore, like for instance, when Ro-Ro ships started, I did the first Scandinavian Ro-Ro that came to Sydney. And at that time, you wouldn't believe it, on the waterfront, there were 2 20-ton machines, that was all.
Yeah.
And they belonged to CHEP, that was the Commonwealth Handling Equipment Corps.
Yeah.
And they belonged, and I was working for Consolidated at that time. They had one on hire, permanent hire, and Patrick's had the other one on permanent hire. Now when these Ro-Ros started, first Patrick's had started doing Ro-Ros a wee bit before us. They had the ships running to the west coast.
Yeah.
And the first one of those was a Swede. But they had all these...
Is that the Dulcar and the Parala and
yeah.
And the Australian one was the Ilunga.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, the Parala was the first one, that was the Swedish one.
Yeah.
But they had all these Butte 24-ton machines and some 12-ton machines and some other small ones, which were really good, you know. Now, when like the company I was with, we had the contract for the they call it Scan Austral, for the Scandinavian Ro-Ros for 1 year, and then there was a fight between us and Patrick's, you see.
Yeah.
So after we did the first ship and we saw these beautiful machines, and we're trying to do a job with 120 tonner.
Yeah, yeah.
We were offered, both Patrick's and Consolo were offered any amount of those machines, freight free,
Yeah.
for $150,000, which was a giveaway price.
Yeah, yeah.
And both companies sat on their bums and said,
Yeah.
we'll see who gets the contract.
Yeah.
Now, if you wanted the contract, you would have bought 5 or 6
Yeah.
straight away.
Yeah.
Then you've got the game sewn up.
Yeah. Yeah.
And they couldn't see that.
Yeah.
Patrick's all consolidated.
Yeah.
So stupid,
That's right, yeah.
you know. And it was the same thing with Wolfies. Like when I was working with Wolfies. Okay, I'd always go and find out from the labour centre in the gangs if any of them's if they were expecting, if there was expecting.
Yeah.
And if they were, I'd go to the gangman and say, you know, he's such, it's okay, let him piss off or something like that, you know,
Yeah.
as long as the job keeps going.
Yeah.
Things like that. And other people didn't do that.
Yeah.
But then, like, there was no incentive to work any harder.
Yeah.
The only incentive you had was you'd put them in their own time.
Yeah.
So what we used to do, or I did, alright, you add about a third on to what
Yeah.
normally expect to do, but they got to be able to finish that by about 11:30 or 12 o'clock.
Yeah.
They used to knock off at 2:30. It's no use keeping them working till 1 o'clock.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
They've got to get something out of it. You've got to
Yeah.
get something out of it.
Yeah.
And you used to do that all the time.
Yeah.
And they say, oh, you don't have trouble. I says, no. Why? You have to think a bit.
That's right. Yeah.
And you know, and other people wouldn't do that.
Yeah.
And that's how you have trouble.
Yeah. Yeah. How did going to sea affect your family life?
Well, it wasn't, in a way it wasn't so bad
Yeah.
when I was in Sweden, because the little ships I was on, I was home about every 10 days,
Yeah.
for about 2 days or so. And with that funny 2 watch system we had, like we used to sail on a Friday, always from Sweden, we sail on a Friday afternoon, and we get into Amsterdam on Monday morning. So on Friday, you got overtime.
Yeah.
Like day of departure, day of arrival was overtime. Saturday, part of it was what we called accrued time, and Sunday was all accrued time.
Yeah.
We had at that time we had 3 weeks holidays, but you'd get enough accrued time so that you could have a holiday 2 or 3 times a year.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, to take your accrued time out. And when I left that company, I had 500 hours still accrued.
Yeah.
And the thing about the accrued time was you got food money as well.
Yeah.
See, so you divide 500 by 8, that's how many days I've got,
Yeah.
plus so many days food money, which wasn't taxable.
Yeah.
So we were getting, on those little ships, we were getting better paid than we're on the deep sea ships.
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
So that didn't affect my home life.
Yeah.
And then you could take your wife with you if you
Oh,
wanted to
yeah.
for a trip.
Yeah. Which was different on the Aussie coast.
Yeah, you could take your wife. I had my wife and son down we started to Amsterdam, and then we started running down to Rouen.
Yeah.
I had them down there. You know, if you wanted to take from Stockholm just up to where we used to go to House de Vic or something, you could have them up there. You could take your wife and son with you.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I don't even think you can still do it on the Aussie coast.
No.
The only way I ever got mine with me was a couple of ring bolts. And the first time I ever ring bolted her, I think she was about 7 or 8 months pregnant. We were supposed to go from Kembla to Newcastle and straight in. We went to Kembla to Stockton Bight for a week.
Oh.
Yeah, and it was a BHP ship too. Yeah. Your last ship then was a little Swedish or Norwegian job, was it?
Yeah,
Yeah.
sled hole.
Sledone. Yeah. And, you then went into the stevedore, and when did you retire out of that then?
The end of '91.
Oh yeah.
That's when they had their first sort of reshuffle on the wharves.
Yeah.
They got rid of a whole lot of people then.
Yeah. Yeah. Was that were you in Sydney then, or were you?
Yeah.
Yeah. I remember I was on a little blue ship, the Kelvin, and we're talking to a couple of wharfies. They just got the golden handshake, and went back to wharf the next day as casuals. It was, always struck me as being a bit weird. And he's still active in the industry and that today, and veterans groups or anything?
No, not in the stevedoring, because it's changed completely. There's no ships coming to Sydney anymore except for car ships and passenger ships.
Right, yeah.
And though today at Tor's funeral, I met one fellow there, Chris Hart. He used to be one of the managers in Melbourne.
Oh,
and I knew him from that.
Yeah.
Because when I finished the role as superintendent, I used to decide what ship goes to what wharf and how much labour we'd put on and all that kind of business.
Yeah.
I had that job for the last 2 years. I was on the wharf there.
Yeah. And I suppose, with being a seaman and that, and then coming on the wharf, there'd be a big difference in that.
It's like when you're a supervisor, like you're working with cargo all the time.
Yeah.
So it's the same thing.
Yeah.
So you had to try and work around it. Like when I was a mate first, space was everything. You had to save so much space, get as much in as you could.
Yeah.
But then when you were a stevedore, you still had to do that, but you had to get in quicker.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then palletising came, and then containers, still.
Yeah.
But some ships were very hard to work because they were still conventional ships, and they would have all kind of loose cargo on the sides, just containers in the middle.
Yeah.
So you couldn't have a short gang. You had to pick up a long gang. So you'd get about 2 containers out of the screw of the hatch. Yeah. Then you're into all loose cargo. Yeah. And then 2 more containers and all loose cargo. Yeah. And then, we had some ships that used to run up to Hong Kong were very bad like that. Yeah. And they would have with all this loose cargo, there was different kinds of marks, and it wouldn't matter how much you could discharge the cargo really quickly, but you couldn't just keep plonking it out. Yeah, yeah. So we had got some, what we call some big sort of flats, and we just stacked them up, and then we had just one gang that went around sorting. Yeah. So with that system, that worked quite well. We could get something done that way. Yeah. Yeah. Otherwise, if they're running around for every tray you send out of loose stuff, it might be 20 minutes before you take one back in. Well, that means you're only going to get about 3 trays out an hour, which they were doing until we come up this other way. Yeah. Which made it different. Yeah. If you had your time over again, would you go the way you went? Probably. I might do it a little bit different. I might have came ashore stevedore. I might have persisted and gone on oil rig tenders or something like that, because there's a bit of a challenge there. It's a bit different. Yeah. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, my young son's there now. Well, Brian, that's about it. Unless you can think of anything that I haven't asked you, or no, it's just things went the way they went. Yeah. And you enjoyed your time on the sailing ships? Yeah, I enjoyed my time on all ships. Yeah. But that was the only thing I could say that I was a little bit sad about on Australian ships, was when I was on them, they looked like shit houses. Yeah. Yeah. You see other ships come in, they were nicely painted up and they looked good, and we were stuck with the black and buff colours all the time, and they, yeah, the dull old colours, and you had the Wilhelmsons, the bright colours, and but that's the way it was. But I mean, once again, as I said, a lot of the ship owners, they didn't show very much foresight. Yeah, that's true. And then I don't know what it was like in the BHP when you was in that, with to get out of paying your EDP for Sunday sailing, they put the board up for 30 seconds past midnight Monday morning. Did you ever come across that? No. But what I did notice, though, and I was only ever on the one BHP ship. That's why I didn't like sailing out of Newcastle, because it was only BHP ships mostly. Yeah. That's why I sailed out of Sydney. But what I did notice that time I was bucko on Iron Duke was that the Adelaide Company might have been a bit tighter on things. Yeah. BHP spent money like it was going out of fashion. Yeah. There was the best of everything. Yeah. Like the storeman there used to get the bosun used to get so much over his wages or so much over the top overtime.
Yeah.
And then the storeman got a bit less.
Yeah.
But and then they used to have inspections on the BHP ships, and the old man would go around with his guys going, you're going to get up by the iron or dust wherever you're going, it doesn't matter how hard you clean. But the store on the BHP ship was kept like as clean as a bloody hospital.
Yeah.
But they paid it in overtime, you know.
Yeah, that's right, yeah. You were saying about the Passat again.
Yeah, the steward's wife gave birth to a child coming down on a trip from Port Swettenham to Port Victoria.
Oh, yeah. Who was the midwife?
They had a lady passenger on board who assisted.
Oh, yeah.
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 But that baby, he didn't get any special food. He just had the same food as us. It was just ground up more.
Yeah.
Mixed with a little bit more, not condensed milk, the other kind of evaporated milk.
Oh, right.
And that was a funny or unusual thing, because sometimes when you'd call a mate, sometimes the stewardess would be in his cabin, sometimes in the mate's cabin. So there was some conjecture on board as to whose baby it was. I met the baby again in 1986, and it was a spitting image of the steward. So that puts that conjecture out of the way.
Yeah, yeah.
And he went on to be an engineer.
Oh, yeah, at sea.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, you said something yesterday about, after we'd finished, about Siberia?
Yeah, but I've got a couple of little bit more to comment on that.
Oh, yeah.
That I was into on the last, or one thing we used to do on board the Passat when the pigs got cleaned out every morning.
Yeah.
And they used to make a mess on deck. So someone discovered that if you fed them coal, it made their droppings hard.
Oh, yeah.
You could just sweep it up and throw it over the side.
Yeah.
So the pigs were always given a coal as part of their diet. And that worked very well.
Yeah.
Then on the last trip, before we got to south of Auckland Islands, the main upper Tgallant yard bed, like it happened on the starboard right shoulder and the port watch. The yard was bent about 6 foot in, and we're at about a 35 degree angle. So we repaired it at sea. So all I did was we took the sail was taken off, and they went up and had a look at it and banged it around a bit and see if it was going to fall off, but it didn't. So they just tied a gantling to it to the end of the yard, took it to a snatch block on the foremast, down another snatch block to the capstan, and gingerly straightened it a bit and slacked off, straightened a bit and slacked off. They went up there and had a look at it and banged it around some more and took the weight on it again and didn't show any sign of breaking off. So we had some bar on board, sort of 2.5 inches by about a quarter inch, something like that the donkeyman used to use for making chain and stuff out of. So we just cut several pieces of that and placed it around the yard and seized that and took canvas over it and set the sail on again, and that held okay. Just after we had finished doing that job and set the sails again there, we sighted the Palmyra.
Oh.
And of course she left Port Victoria 3 days ahead of us, and she was we didn't see all the sails. We saw her royals to gallants and possibly upper topsails or lower topsails, but not the whole, just the sails. And later on, when we came up to Penarth, we compared the position, and it was definitely her in that time. So that's about all the other. And another thing about Passat, she didn't like tugs.
Yeah.
Like when Max Wood was on her, they tipped the tug over in the Baltic, and everyone got killed on it.
Yeah.
They drowned. Then on the first trip I was there, we took a tug from Falmouth to Avonmouth, because that was a long trip. That trip took 143 days,
and that tug, we like you set some staysails to so she steers better, and then we had a little bit of a following wind and we set the lower topsails. But I think perhaps that tug master wasn't used to towing sailing vessels, or he wasn't powerful enough, and because she sheered off and we carried that tow line away. And then on the last trip coming from Ireland, we were coming up the Bristol Channel. We had taken 7 days from Queenstown up to get up to Penarth, and on the way up the Bristol Channel at that time there was a lot of small colliers running between Barry and London. They used to call them flat irons, because they only had sort of one house on the deck, and if there were steamers, the funnel came down and the masts came down, so they could get under the bridges. And they all had the Fulham, because that was a place in London. It was Fulham 1 to ad infinitum. You know, there was about 30 or 40 of these things. You know, and we always were seeing these blooming Fulham tugs. You know, and this day we saw this one was called a Fulham 9. So it was a motorised one on just a little tiny motor funnel, and we yelled out, "Send us a tug!" Like, you know. And anyway, just in passing, you know. So later on, we got a bit of a westerly, and we started coming up the channel, and then a tug appeared. So the old man said, "Oh, who's the tug you order, Captain?" And the captain said, "I don't order any tug, you know. How can I order tug? I don't have radio, you know." So anyway, they palavered and agreed on a price. So we made the tow line fast, and we went up after filling the four upper top topgallants, and third mate yelled on deck, "Hang on, boys!" And the tug had sheered right across and carried the tow line away. And he got the tow line around his propeller, and then they got him in the beach, and because you get a big tide here, you get about 30-foot tide, you see. Took ashore and beached him. Then later on we found out that there was one pub where all the tugs used to congregate in Cardiff, and they used to have the radio on, they'd hear all the gossip, you know. And they'd heard that this Fulham said, "Oh, the sailor out there, she wants a tug." And by that time the tug's crew was all 4 sheets to the wind. It's only the old man who was still sober. So he got a couple of other guys out of the pub, and they couldn't steer or something like that. But it was a funny thing that, like, you know, she was always carrying tow lines.
Didn't like tugs at all, eh?
No. So that's about. At the moment, that's about all I wanted to.
What about Siberia?
Before we get to Siberia, I had another place that was I was always getting in trouble in. That was Alexandria in Egypt. The first time I was there, I was on a ship called a Hull Mattress. It was a company called Harrison's of London.
Was that Hungry Harrison's?
No, there was a couple of that was Harrison's of Liverpool. They had what they had on the funnel. They used to have a black funnel, a white band, and 2 red bands. They used to or 1 red band. They used to call them two are fat and 1 are lean. On the funnel. But this other Harrison's, they were a black funnel with a big white H. And unusual for British ships that time. She was grey over the side. But anyway, we took a load of coal from Cardiff down to Alexandria, and our mess room was aft in the poop, but down below. And anyway, first day we were over the side painting, and when we come up after smoko, all our red lead and shipping hammers and scrapers is all gone, and the rope that was hanging down off the stage had been cut off just under the stage. And so then the person said, "Okay, every time you come up on deck, everything up on deck with you, you see." So we ended up chipping and scraping and red lead the hull, and afterwards we started painting towards the end of our stay in Alexandria. And so we were just coming up, and we were just level with the portholes in the poop. So well, we can watch the tug, watch the stage if anyone tries to steal me, go and chase them away, like, you know. Anyway, I was blowing a bit this day, and we saw this moving brown hand come up onto the stage, so he goes up on deck and yelled at, told them to go up. They wouldn't, they just stayed there. So he looked around for something to throw at them, and I found a big wedge, and I thought, oh, piss off your so-and-sos,
Yeah.
you know, and threw the wedge at him, but it was blowing a bit. And I yelled, watch out. As I turned to watch out, one of the fellas in the boat turned around and caught the wedge right in the face.
Yeah.
And he had a very sort of Egyptian type nose, a very large nose,
Yeah.
which ended up alongside his ear. So I said, oh, well, this is great. I've done it now.
Yeah.
So being a very brave person, I went straight away and locked myself in the cabin. So these boat people come on board the ship and yelled and talked to the workers. So all the work stopped.
Yeah.
And they lined the crew up. Couldn't find the crew. Couldn't find the culprit. So they said, well, all right, no work will be carried out until the culprit is forthcoming.
Yeah.
So the second mate came down to me and said, well, you'll have to come out. And so I come out and there's all kinds of screams and yells. And so I said, all right, we've got to go to the police station. So we had a watchman on board who sort of could go between, speaks English and Arabic. And so he came, and a policeman, and this other mob. And so as we walked along, people would come up to this fellow and ask him what happened, you know, because he's still blood dripping from his nose.
Yeah.
And he'd tell them, they'd come up and shake their hands at me and join in the throng.
Yeah.
So by the time we got to this police station, there's about 80 people out behind in the queue, all yelling and screaming. So we go in there and they put us in sort of two little docks and you stand up and I tell my story. And this other fellow, he told his story. So then they sent us out. And then the police fellow said, well, we'll take you back to the ship because there's all this mob still outside screaming and yelling.
Yeah.
And they said they knew this fella because there was a little boat, because all they used to do was steal coal off the wharf and steal, you know,
yeah.
they were was a well-known character,
Yeah.
sort of thing, for that business. So I got escorted with a police escort back to the ship in a police boat, and he goes up to the old man, and who was on board by that time, and says, yeah, okay, here's your seaman returned safely. And so, but he had to get something for his trouble, you see, and he wanted 20 cartons of cigarettes. So the old man gives him his 20 cartons of cigarettes. They get deducted from my pay.
Yeah.
So when we were paying off in Barry, so when we were paying off, I said to the shipmaster, well, I was really protecting the ship's gear, and I didn't think that I should have to pay for the 20 cartons of cigarettes.
Yeah.
And the shipping master agreed with me, and I got that
Refunded.
refunded. So that was that time. Next time I was there, I was on another ship sometime later. And at the time I used to have a habit, every place I used to go to, I used to swim all around the port, you know, just go over the side and swim around and visit other ships swimming around. And it was a Sunday, and was working overtime. I'd only worked over the forenoon. Then I went to the beach in Alexandria and I had a swim. Some people there were nice. And when I came out of the water, couldn't find my towel, and some people called me over. They'd taken my towel, and sort of made me understand that you shouldn't leave anything there. They'd get pinched. Oh, that was nice. So then I went to a pub on the way back to the ship, and there was a New Zealand destroyer in there. And so I got talking to these New Zealand seamen and you know, one beer led to another beer, and so I said, oh, come out to our ship and visit us, you know. We got some more beer out there, and we got some rum. Oh, okay. So I went back to my ship, and I said, well, so I'm swimming out to the New Zealand destroyer. It was dark by this time.
Yeah.
So that didn't worry me. I set out, and I got about halfway there, and this blooming boat appears out of nowhere and holds me into it.
Yeah.
And so I tried to tell them what I was doing. No, that was no good. But anyway, in the meantime, because I'd been gone for a while, the crew on my ship, who were half sloshed anyway, they went up to the third mate who was ship keeper and said, well, we want to put the lifeboat in to go looking for me, because it's been away, you know, quite a while.
Yeah.
He said, no. He went to the old man and said, no, you can't do it. So after a while, they went up to him again and said, look, it's been gone about 2 hours now, we better go looking for him. So they went and said, all right, put the bloody boat in the water. Well, they were just starting to put the boat in the water when I appeared on the scene again with these two blooming, three of them, there's a sort of an officer steering and two guys pulling. But what they had grabbed me for, they thought I was a frogman and going to blow the ship up, because I didn't think about things like that. That was unknown to us, because like the Israelis and Egyptians,
didn't like it.
That was their job, to go around and guard the waters. But just luckily at this time, they saw this boat and they were going to tip the garbage down onto the boat, because they didn't understand. But anyway, I got out of that, so that was that time in Alexandria. I went back there on another occasion, but at that time, luckily, we weren't allowed to go ashore.
So you was a good boy?
No, we weren't allowed to go ashore. I was on a Norwegian ship, and it was in one of the Suez wars. And because I was Australian, there was an Irishman and a Welshman on this Norwegian ship. We weren't allowed to go ashore because of the war thing, when France and Britain were trying to take the Suez Canal back. So, and that ship that we weren't allowed to go ashore on, that's the ship that I went up to Siberia on. And the name of it was Hop, H-O-P. That's Hop was some Norse mythological figure. That company, all their ships had Hop. It was only a three-letter word, like with Hop, Pake, Ghoul, and all kinds of little Norse mythological figures. But this company specialised in trading with the Russians. And we went up to a place called Igarika. It's up the Yenisei River. It's up over the top on 360 miles up the river. And it's only open for 2 or 3 months a year. And that's the sort of latter part of summer when it's open, because the river freezes about 2 metres thick there. And so you go up there and you start loading from big barges. You could load 2 hatches from the one big barge. And in the middle of the barge they have a big sort of wheelhouse on stilts, so they could see over the deck cargo. So they just fill up with timber. And we have to, on there, we used to, we were the tallyman for the ship, and they had these tally girls, and your figures had to correspond with theirs. But as it was a bit colder than that, what we'd do that we'd take one sling and then go inside, and then they'd take the next thing, and we accepted their figures and they accepted our figures, you see, because they didn't have enough people up there, so the wharfies would come out of the hold, they'd make up several slings on the barge, then they'd load all of those several slings just into the square of the hatch, then they, of course, all loose timber then, and then they climb back on board the ship and stow it. So it was quite a while, like you count your 7 slings. It was quite a while before you had to go out, because they had to stow them. Then come back onto the barge and make up the slings again. So you're inside quite a bit. But the Russian girls there, they were dressed the same as the men. The only difference was that they had what was supposed to be a skirt that looked like a piece of old dishcloth. That, because they all had this wadded pants and wadded jackets and that on, and they put perfume all over themselves and sat on this sort of slow burning stove, and it was it was a very feminine smell, that way. But anyway, that was that part of it. But at this place, like you start loading at anchor, and then when you're nearly finished, they take you alongside to load the deck cargo. But there was no wharf there. All they did, because when the ice melts, it just right down the river and it destroys everything. So all they do is they just take these big barges, pull them to the shore, then take another one, pull it alongside and pull it alongside, and they just moor them. And then they freeze in the winter. And when the winter comes, they just let them go, and they get taken down the river somewhere, and they just go on and get them and bring them back again. There was a Seaman's club there, and well, you didn't take any money out because at that time, this is about 1956, the currency rate wasn't worthwhile taking any money out. So go back to the traditional bartering with cigarettes. The Russians liked Camel cigarettes best. So we just take a carton of Camels, you go ashore to the Seaman's Club, and you sold it to the manager.
Yeah.
And for a carton of cigarettes, you got a bottle of vodka.
Oh, yeah.
So, you know, if two or three of you go ashore with a carton each, they had guards on the gangway, but they didn't sort of worry about that. And you just sold them there, and so that was it. Anyway, one night we were ashore at this place, and we'd done our usual business with the vodka and that, and we're going back to the ship. Well, we had to get the boat out to the ship, and there was a fellow we were talking to. We thought he was a Swede, but he wasn't. He turned out to be Estonian. They'd been sent up there. You know, they'd been deported up there to work.
Yeah.
And we were getting on fine with him. He says, "Oh, you come to our house. We have a big party." All right, okay, that's good. It was very nice with a Dutch bloke who was on the ship. So we went to his place. And the only thing was that they chased all their women out, and there was just blokes there for this party. But anyway, we had this drinking the vodka, and by that time we were getting well oiled. So my friend, the Dutchman, decided he'd had enough. He was going home. So I thought, well, I don't leave. Like, still about 2 bottles of vodka left.
Yeah.
Might as well stay till it's all finished, you know.
Yeah.
So we stayed until all the vodka's finished, and so just stayed us out into the street. And shit, by this time it's about 3 o'clock in the morning, and I was about -12 or something like that. Then, anyway, so some police appeared. They grabbed me and hauled me off to the jail. So it comes into the jail, and it's a big wooden room. There's about 12 other people in there, including my Dutch mate. So in the morning, they come and say, all right, they come out and signed a paper. It was all written in Russian. And so the Dutchman, he signed it. So I says, oh, I'm not signing that. Maybe it was in English, you could tell me what it says. Oh no, you signed. It didn't explain what it was. No, I'm not signing. Oh, not signing. No, back in again. So after a while, I get a bit thirsty. So bang, 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 I thought, water. So instead of water, they give us a bottle of vodka. So being in the jail, with everyone else there, you have to share it, you see.
Yeah.
So you share the bottle of vodka, and start to sing, everyone's having a good time. Oh, no, come out again, sign. No sign. Oh, back in again. So after a while, all these people look at me, ooh, no sign, no sign. So, yeah, vodka. So this went on for 3 days. They didn't give anything and nothing to eat, just kept giving us vodka all the time.
Yeah.
These people are having a great time. I see everyone singing and having a great time. So in the end, they just stopped, take me back to the ship. And so by that time, everything must have, rumours get around, and I go up to the ship, and all this people went on the ship. Oh, no sign. They must have the words get around.
Yeah.
So I was no sign.
Yeah.
And if the mate wanted anything done, or this cargo shifted, I want a bit more here or that. Oh yes, if I go and tell them, no sign, anything will get done. The only thing was that the mate had to have a bottle of whiskey there for the sort of foreman all the time.
Yeah.
So that was my experience in
Siberia. And you never found out what was on the paper?
No. I don't know whether it was saying that they'd found me and it was cold and they took me in or that, but at that time, see, that sewers business was just starting up there, you see. So if you say something, they'll say, oh, this Seaman says that it's a bad thing they're doing and all this business, and I wasn't getting into that. So I never signed, and that was my experience in the jail in Siberia.
Yeah.
And I thought, well, they can't send me anywhere else. I'm already in Siberia.
That's right. Yeah.
But there was one strange character there, because everyone gets around in this padded clothes. Because I was towards the end of the season. We were the last ship finished, and then we were going a convoy after that. You know, we went in 2 convoys. There's about 10 ships, and but this bloke, there was one fellow in there, as all he had on was a pair of grey flannel pants, a white singlet, and a pair of sand shoes. And so he didn't. Where he came from, I don't know, because none of them spoke any English or anything like that.
Yeah.
And but all the workers up there were Estonians.
Oh, yeah.
They weren't Russian. They were Estonians who'd been deported up there.
Yeah.
And they worked 2 12-hour shifts. They worked from 6 in the morning to 6 at night, from 6 at night to 6 in the morning.
Yeah. About that.
And they had 2 breaks.
Yeah.
That was it.
Yeah.
They had another strange thing that they had there, because they didn't want you to sort of fraternise too much with the tally girls.
Yeah.
So what they did, the girls that we had, they could speak German. And we found out from some German ships there that the girls they had on the tallying on the German ships spoke English.
Oh, yeah.
But they didn't think that the Germans could speak English,
Yeah.
or we could speak some German, you know.
Yeah.
But the girls weren't very fetching, put it that way.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, when we left Igarika in the convoy, we were the last ship, and we couldn't get the lines off. They were frozen, so we had to chop the lines off to get out. And the tug took us out, and we got out and formed up in 2 convoys. But all those ships, they were fairly old ships, and they weren't very powerful. You know, like we only could do about, at the best, 10 knots. That was all we could do. You know? 8 knots was more or less our speed, and that's not very powerful in the ice.
Yeah.
And so you'd line up in a line, and the tug would go there. By the time they got going, the last ship in the convoy would get stuck. So then the icebreakers would come round and get you going, and you'd form up again. And by the time we started going, by that time the one in the lead, he would get stuck. So, you know, and this thing went on, so it wasn't fast. And we ended up bending one of the blades of the propeller.
Sure.
So, which made things even worse.
Yeah.
So I think it used to take us about 8 days from Stavanger in Norway up around the top to get up there in normal speed.
Yeah.
It ended up taking 3 weeks to get back to Stavanger. You know, we were doing it once we got clear of the ice. We were doing about 3 or 4 knots. You know, with this broken.
Yeah. Stuck propeller. Yeah.
So broken blade on the propeller.
Yeah.
So we went into dock, and they repaired that, and so this cargo was destined for Alexandria. That's the time when we couldn't get them. After Alexandria, we went up the Black Sea to a place called Novorossiysk.
Yeah.
And that was quite a large place, and there was a sort of Russian naval base there and all that kind of. But anyway, we had to get shifting boards fitted, and we'd taken so many logs for them to saw up to fit the shifting boards. And so we go into this berth where we had to get the shifting boards fitted, and there was some mix-up between the pilot and the tug master, because the pilot gave the signal for the tug to start taking the tension.
Yeah.
The only thing was that the tow line wasn't on the hook, but this silly blooming tug, instead of waiting a bit until the eye was on the hook, it was just about to be on, he just went ahead anyway, and we were light ship and it was blowing quite hard.
Yeah.
And we went ashore and bumped a couple of times, and so they got the tug and they got us off and they tied her up. So they inspected, and she had a couple of cracked plates.
Yeah.
So they ended up getting divers and repairing them. But to get all this done, the old man used to have to go ashore every day and palaver, and they had to get permission from this one and that to that one and palaver. And to these this cracked plate. In fact, it took us 3 weeks. By the time it was all fixed up, and they got the shifting boards fitted up, and but it was a cement factory there, and this dustness cement factory would come all over the ship, and you'd wash it off and scrub it, and made like a sort of soapy stuff, but it wore all the paint off the housing.
Oh, yeah.
It was like a strong,
Yeah.
like a sort of caustic solution.
Yeah.
And at that time, things were starting to change in Russia a bit, because you could go in places where some statues had been, they had been removed.
Yeah.
But that was and you could go and buy things in shops there, but well, like I mentioned before, the money wasn't very good. You know, you still had to change, and they didn't have strange enough, they didn't have a Seaman's club there.
Yeah.
So you had to change with the people on the street, and you had to be careful because the Russians had changed their money.
Yeah.
And you could quite easily get dudded, you know, with the money that was out of date.
Yeah.
So that was that experience on that ship. We ended up loading wheat, and we took it to Germany.